Okay, in goal 8.2, we are using our second method of solving. Remember, we have 3 distinctly different methods: the graphing, the substitution, the elimination. I want to show you what, when I finish a problem, what it's going to look like, and show you how important it is going to be to pay attention and follow along. So at the end, that's what your note's going to look like. So if I just gave you the notes, you'd be like, I have no idea. Because, yeah, it doesn't follow any one direction, really. So, a lot of problems you can go step by step and follow it easily just by looking at notes. This is not one of them. Okay? So, by the time I finish a question, this is what it looks like. So, obviously, you can see that following along with me is going to be key. Okay? So, step 1. Solve one, just one, of the equations for x or y. When we graph, it's always y. Always y. Y equals, y equals, y equals. It does not have to be y for substitution. Okay, so don't think that, because you'll make it harder for yourself if you do that. Okay? Then we're going to substitute. By substitute, I mean literally like in a sporting event. Something is going to come out, something else is going to go in. Substitute. Okay? We're going to substitute that expression into the other equation for the variable you solved for. Here, we should get a simple equation that I'm going to solve like you know how to solve it really well, because we should know how to solve it really well from everything we've done this year. Okay? And then lastly, we're going to plug that value in to get the other value, the other x, the x or y, whichever one we didn't use. Okay? All right, so example 1. One of your equations needs to say x equals or y equals. This one already does that. So we're ready to make the substitution. When you have an equal sign between two things like this, they're equal, they're equivalent, they can replace each other. It's like having a quarter in this hand and 2 dimes and a nickel in this hand. They're the same value, they look different, but I can spend them the same way. Okay? So x and y plus 2, they're equal, they're the same thing. Okay? So once you get one of the equations, which is done for us here, to say x or y equals, I'm going to take that expression then and put it into the other equation for my x. X equals y plus 2. So this x is going to come out of the game, and y plus 2 is going to sub in. So the x is going to come out, the y plus 2 is going to come in. All of this other stuff stays the same. So I'm going to write my substitution in a different color so you can see exactly where I'm subbing. So my x is coming out, my y plus 2 is going in. The rest of it I'm leaving the same. My plus y equals 6. This part of it doesn't change. X came out of the game, y plus 2 went in the game. When I do that, I should have an equation there. When I make that substitution, it has just one variable in it, either x or y. If it has x and y, you didn't do it right, because I know how to solve an equation like this. We've done this for the whole year. Okay? So I solve. Y plus y is 2y. Plus 2 equals 6. Solving for y here, subtract the 2. 2y equals 4. And then divide by 2. And y equals 2. That's my y value. I got to find x. I have choices of where I can put that, but I will tell you that the best, the fastest, the easiest place, the least amount of work is to go right back to the substitution equation and plug it in there. So x, which is what we need now, equals y plus 2. Well, now we know y. So x equals 2 plus 2. Most of the time, when you go to plug that value in that you got, you can do it in your head. So I don't really need to see work there even. Okay? That's why it's the fastest, easiest place to go. So my answer, 2, 4. Ordered pair, written as an ordered pair. if you've never done substitution before, it takes some getting used to. So let me get through a couple of examples, and then we'll go through some questions. Yeah?
Wouldn't it be 14?
Yes, it would. Thank you, because I would mark that wrong on your paper. So you can mark me wrong there. Thank you very much. I should add here that you can know if you're right before you turn anything in, because every answer is checkable. This ordered pair has to work in here and here. 4 plus 2 is 6, and 4 equals 2 plus 2. It has to work in both. So every answer is checkable. You can know if you have 100%. Okay, example 2. There is usually, there will be for you, always a better variable to solve for than the other ones. And on this example, that variable should pop out really easily to you. Okay, so remember, we got to get one of these equations to say x equals or to say y equals. So which x or y from which equation should I be solving for, do you think, here? Ready?
The x on the top.
Why?
Because it's alone.
Because it's alone. Look at these other ones. Coefficient, coefficient, coefficient. So if I solve for this, I'm going to have to divide by 3 and work with fractions. If I divide here, I could divide by 16. Here I'd have to divide by 3. I'd have to work with fractions through the whole thing. I don't want to do that. Now, we can't always avoid that, okay? For this class, we can, but that's not always the case, okay? For this class, there it goes again. It's that thing. So I'm going to get my x alone. To get that x alone, I'm going to add 3y. So x equals 3y plus 7. If you like 7 plus 3y better, that works for me.
In your store, it always hits his when he does that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kick it.
Okay, so x equals 3y plus 7, or 7 plus 3y. Order would not matter. I still like my variable first, so I'm going to do it. So now we're ready to make our substitution. So this is going to go into the other equation for x. X equals, that's why it's going to go for x. So my 3y plus 7 is going to go in for that x. X equals into the other equation. So I make my substitution. 16y minus 3. X is out of the game. 3y plus 7 goes in the game. Equals 28. You'll notice every other part stayed the same. The 16y minus 3. X comes out. Quantity goes in, which means we need those parentheses. Equals 28. And then again, I really should know how to solve this. Okay? So I'm going to distribute negative 3 times 3, negative 9y, negative 3 times 7 minus 21 equals 28. Continue solving. 16 minus 9 is 7y minus 21 equals 28. Add 21 to both sides. 7y equals 49. And divide by 7. And y is 7. In substitution, we could go back here and we could plug it in and find x. But the best, fastest, easiest, least amount of work place to go is right there. Back to your substitution equation. And again, if you do it in your head, I don't care, because most of the time, not always, it's very doable to do that way. So x equals 3 times 7 plus 7, 21 plus 7 is 28. And I'll write it correctly this time, Connie. So I have the ordered pair 28, 7. Okay, now that you've seen a couple of them done, I'm going to keep going though. Do you have some questions? Brady.
So after you solve for the y, then
It could be x or y, but in this case it's y.
you do the equation that you took it out of to find the opposite variable.
That's where I put it. This you could go over here if you want, but that's way more work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter.
Alright.
Okay, next example. Which variable should I solve for? Well, what do you think?
Oh, the y.
The y. That's what I would do. Now, x is almost as good. I wouldn't choose x because of the negative, but I would definitely choose my y. So I'm going to get y by itself. So I'm going to add x. X plus 3, 3 plus x. It does not matter. But we're ready to make our substitution. Now, it says y equals. So when I make the substitution, it's going to go in for y. So I solve for y equals, which means it's going to go into the other equation for the y. So I'm ready to sub. 2x plus 3. Y is coming out of the game. X plus 3 is going in the game. Equals negative 6. And I solve. 2x, distribute, 3 times x, 3x, 3 times 3, positive 9, equals negative 6. Collect our like terms, 5x plus 9 equals negative 6. Subtract 9, 5x equals negative 15. And divide by 5. And x is negative 3. And I plug back here. X is negative 3, so negative 3 plus 3, and I get 0. 0 is okay. You can have 0 for an answer. It's okay to have 0 for an answer. So don't be alarmed if you get 0.